We already said we know it's 8 ones, right? It started off as 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones, followed by 8 zeros. So we're making it smaller, so we've got that 1 on the 128-bit value, so you look and you say, okay, so it's, again, we said it's 255.255.255.255.255. So we know that, and that 1 is under the 128, so staff network is that subnet mask. That's student, sorry. Student is the big one. All right, the staff network, the next one is this one. So again, we went from biggest to smallest. So 128, and you add 64, and it's 192. So the second one is 255.255.255.192. And then finally, we've got that guest wireless we want to set up. And it's the same process. We add the bit values. So 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16, or 128, 192, 224, 240. So 255.255.255.240. All right, so we're getting there. So now we know what the subnet mask is, but really we've got all our information is already done here. When we did this part, that told us everything. So this is just going to help us now when we set up this table. In the table, I mean, we're going to make four columns. Network ID, the range of usable IP addresses, the broadcast address, and what's the subnet mask of that network. So again, what do I start with? You're given the starting point. So 198.86.121.0. All right, so what you do is you increment your next network next. So in other words, you look where the 1 fell. Not only does it tell you what the subnet mask is, it also tells you how much to increment the next network by. And the 1's under the 128, so it's 128 I increment it by. So what's 128 more from 198.86.121, which is currently 0. If I add 128, it's that, right? So now that I have that, you go back and finish the first network. So the broadcast address is 1 less than your next network ID. So the broadcast address for this first network is 198.86.121, and 1 less than 128 is 127. The range, and to fit it better, I'm just going to do the 3rd and 4th octet. 121 dot, 1 more than the 0, and 1 less than the broadcast. 121.126. And so that's, again, the student network. We already wrote out what the subnet mask is, right? So we've already got it here. So that is the subnet mask. So with this subnet mask and with something within this range, that would be this network ID. So, and how would we say this network? You know, how would we identify it? 198.86.121.0 slash, what is this? Slash 25, right? Because the 1 falls under the 128. What's this one? Slash 26, because 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones, followed by 2 more ones. And then 4 more ones, we get 28, right? So it's just, this one's a /28. So it's just the equivalent. All right, so now, again, we do the staff network. We look, the last one falls under the 64. So we increment our next network by 64. 198.86.121. 128 plus 64, 192. What's the broad? So then you go back and finish your previous network. What is my broadcast for the second network? It's one less than your next network ID, so it's 191. Again, what's between the two? 121 dot. One more than 128 is 129, and one less than 191 is 190. But again, my subnet mask changed, right? For my staff network, it's that. And then finally, we look at my third network, and we see that one fell under the 16. The last one falls under 16, so I'm incrementing by 16. So 198.86.121.208. And then if I go between them, one less than 208 is 198.86.121.207. Right? It's just one less. And then between the two, and again, 121 dot, one more than 192 is 193. And one less than 207 is 121.206. But again, it's important to recognize my subnet mask has changed. So 255.240. And you really, from 208 up to 255, we can use for expansion or other networks. But that's when I say show your work. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see the bit values, and this I think is just useful for you. But I mean, you don't have to type that out. But then I'm looking for this network ID. All right, so that's a good example of what I'm looking for. All right, so now let's, I put a couple of, ideas of, I find these questions, because it's a different way of approaching it. I like the way these are. And again, we're not doing class B's. So, if you just go next for one, for something what is not, if it's less than a /24, we don't have to worry about it right now. But let's look at this one. And we'll put that down. So which subnet does host belong to? Again, they're telling us it's a host or a usable IP address range, right? So if I do this, it's the same process, 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. And again, it's /24, so 8, again, we're dealing with just the 4th octet, 8 ones, 8 ones, 8 ones, followed by one more for the 25th one. So that's what the bit values look like, or the subnet mask really looks like. It's a, and hopefully you get the feel now. This is a 255.255.255 dot. Last one falls on the 128, so it's 128. Now, if you're looking at this one and you're looking at what, it's the same type of table setup, net ID, range, broadcast. I mean, we don't really need the subnet mask because we're not, in this instance, we're not doing a subnet formula practice here. We're just trying to find out which network does that .53 belong to. So again, we know if we back up and make this a /24, it's a 172.17.6.0, right? 172.17.6.0. So that's my starting point. And again, we look here, what's my increment? It's 128. So 172.17.6, and 128 plus 0 is 128. And again, you go through the process. 1 less than 6.128 is my broadcast, so 6.127 is my broadcast. What's my range? 6.1 to 6.126. And again, we've got our answer, right? Because we can see this is in that range, right? So my answer, which subnet does this belong on? This one. So that's the answer. Yeah. So, I mean, they don't really give it. Yeah, they're assuming /25 is a 255.255.255.128. All right, what is the first valid host? So that's a different way of asking that question. What is the first valid host in the subnetwork with the node 172.18.144.